Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Thursday, January 21st, 2016, and here are some of today's trends in the news. Well, of course, the big news that everyone's concerned about here in the States, especially in the East, it's going to snow. It's going to snow. Watch out. They don't stop with this. Like it never snowed before. Well, it hasn't snowed up here all year, up in Colonial Kingston, but that's another story. Because they also say 2015 was the warmest year on record. Yeah, global warming. And people ask me, what do I think about it? I'm not a scientist. I don't know. Here's what I say. If you pump in trillions of tons of poison into the earth, into the water, and into the air, do you think you'll have any adverse effects? Nah. Hey, matter of fact, you could drink that Michigan water. Yeah, it tastes like cherry wine. That was that old song. Yeah, Jelly Roll Morton. That Mississippi water tasted like turpentine. But that Michigan water, sweet as cherry wine. Not anymore. Nah, thanks to GM and that Flint River. Yeah, dumping all them toxins in. But the governor over there, he said it was okay. Yeah, now those emails are coming out, making fun of everybody who said the water was poisoning them. Climate change, getting poisoned by water. Chemicals in your food, doesn't make any difference. No scientific proof, I told you. And how about that Obama, huh? Sending $5 million to help those folks over there in Flint, huh? Yeah, what did they send? About $1 billion to Ukraine? We spend more money rebuilding Afghanistan and still occupying it than we did in the Marshall Plan after World War II. But only chump change for the folks in Flint. Anyway, moving on to other points in the market. Over there in Asia. Whoop, 1, 2, 3. Yep, that's it. They're down 1, 2, and 3% on average. Hang Seng, Shanghai, Nikkei, boop, into bear territory. And over there in Europe, well, things were up. Wonder why? Well, we'll see. And over here in the States, whoop, market closed up just over 100. It was up over 250. So, gold. Gold was down a lot. Closed down around $5. And oil. Big day in oil. On the news that they have more supply than they actually estimated, but that was a good reason for oil prices to shoot way up. But they say there's less distillate or diesel fuel or something, so that drove the prices higher. Today's Wall Street Journal. Global stocks sink on fresh growth fears. Remember, no one was speaking about growth fears other than us. They were speaking about China and oil. Global stocks plunged, driven by heightened concerns about growth and fading confidence. You ready? In the willingness or ability of central banks to boost their economies. And then another little front page story here. Slide cools off luxury property boom. That's right. Those folks from China and those Arab nations, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates and Qatar, and the Russian guys and women's that are flooding into these rich markets in London and New York, the Chinese up in Vancouver. Things are cooling down a little bit as the dough's slowing down. But those money flows out of China, hitting records, and also hitting records flowing out of emerging markets. Another little interesting story here in the Wall Street Journal on the second page. Housing typically leads the economy into a downturn. Yep. And another indication of the slowdown is ocean-going cargo, with the rates for shipping a single container between Europe and Asia plummeting to $740 from $1,765 at the start of 2014. Front page, Financial Times today. Stock exchanges across the world plunge into bear market territory. Fears ripple through global markets, taking the UK, French, and Japanese stocks to more than 20% below their 2015 highs. Equities have been dragged down by rising concerns over China, global economic growth prospects, sliding commodity prices, you ready? And questions over whether central banks remain willing to act as backstops. Okay? Central banks willing to remain as backstops. Go back to the front page of today's Wall Street Journal. The willingness or ability of central banks to boost the economies. So, what brought the markets up today? I know this is going to come as a surprise. Hey, when will this have anything to do with that Davos meeting? Where all those multi-billionaires are together as everything's going down. And now the stocks boost up across Europe, across the United States. They're both talking about central bank stimulus. Here it is. U.S. stocks rally after Draghi, China signals support. Yeah, what a coincidence. No, I'm no conspiracy theorist. I just know what's going on. It's our top trend of a year ago. Bankism. Capisce? U.S. shares rallied, lifting global equities from the brink of a bear market, and crude surged as signals of support from the European Central Bank and Chinese officials sparked buying of risk assets. Yeah! Gambling! The Dow Jones Industrial jumped 250 points to retake the 16,000 level as crude moved toward $30 a barrel in New York. European equities advanced the most in a month. On speculation, the region's central banks may add stimulus to combat disinflation. It's not disinflation. It's to combat the multi-billionaires like that guy Dalio up there yesterday from that Bridgewater Associates. He said the central banks have to come to the rescue. More of that monetary methadone to keep these money junkies alive. Give them more dough. I say next year it's 62 billionaires or multi-billionaires have more dough than half the population. Bring it to 50. Make 50 own more than 75%. What do we count? We're nothing. Hey, got no money for Flint, huh? Nah, but hundreds of billions, or trillions, I should say, for 62 cats. Here we go. It's right here. Mario Draghi signaled in a briefing that additional support is available as soon as March. Downside risk to euro area economy have increased since the year began amid financial market turmoil. You ready? That has erased more than $15 trillion from the global equity values as markets from Japan to Germany and Brazil plunged into bear territory. Yep. That's it. The game is rigged, folks. Yeah. Remember how the toilet paper of record, the disgusting New York Times, who gave us the Iraq War. You forgot that? Oh, yeah, them aluminum tubes. Keeps promoting war. Yep, building everyone up. And covers what they don't want the folks to hear. Remember how I showed you how the first week of the new year, the worst equity market opening in the history of the United States of a first week of a new year, was buried on the next to the last page in the B section. A tiny little story. Never mentioned how bad it was. Yeah. And here's the front page of the toilet paper, who tells you, and we write about it, take a deep breath. Relax. Market's going down. Best advice, do nothing. The fire in the North Tower is under control. Go back to your desk. Oh, you forgot that one, huh? Yeah. I wonder if that a New York Times person on that 9/11 call, giving the instructions to the people to go back to their desk. I wonder if it was one of their writers. Anyway, here they go. Noon swoon. Isn't that cute, little boys and girls? Then recovery that may signal market turnaround. Soon after midday on Wednesday, panic selling seemed to be seizing the United States stock market. The Dow Jones average was down more than 500 points. And all the fears that have driven this year's decline, including concerns that the world economy is slowing, seemed as potent as ever. Remember, no one from the prostitute whores in the business media were talking about a global recession when we were. And you go back to all the facts. I kept talking about it, writing about it. China and oil. I remember you said 1 and 1 is 2. That's as high as they could add. Well, anyway, now they're saying it. Buyers rushed in, sending the Dow up over 400 points. What could have been a rout ended up being just the sort of down day that investors had to get used to this year. Yeah, investors, gamblers. Hey, everything's fine. Look at this. Not doing anything this evening. Still have time to go out. Especially if you're over there in that West Coast. Fashion and home clearance. New price reductions on what you want right now. 50 to 80% off. Store-wide. Macy's going down the crapper. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Told you about the crude oil. Here's the numbers. Data released late Wednesday by the American Petroleum Institute showed crude inventories rose by 4.6 million barrels, while the EIA reported commercial crude inventories rose by 4 million barrels. Crude inventories climbed to the highest level since 1990. Weekly oil inventories showed a build in crude oil stocks and U.S. gasoline stocks. Distillate stocks showed a slight decline. That's why they said it went down, because distillate stocks showed a slight decline. That's why the oil went way up. It was up over 6% at one point. So you can see where this is going. Canada slashes 2-year growth forecast. Brazil's bank kept their interest rates flat, as they're unchanged at 14.25%. They're trying to battle inflation. Goldman in black despite fine. Bank shows profit for fourth quarter after $5.1 billion settlement. The Wall Street Bank reported profits of $765 million, or $1.27 a share, after it was hit by a $5.1 billion settlement to resolve allegations. You ready? It missold mortgage-backed securities. There she is again. Missold. Yeah, missold, misspeak. And they get away with it. But don't forget, you be a good boy and girl. Don't do anything wrong. That's right. You gotta pay attention. Obey the rules. Hurt by legal woes, Deutsche Bank announces $7 billion yearly loss. Fourth quarter profit because of legal issues. Yep. All they do is pay a little fine. And that's okay. Because go back to the central banks. Go back to how the game is rigged for the banksters who commit crimes. So here we are. The markets are up. New York Times says everything's fine. We'll see tomorrow. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's Trends in the News.